Hey everybody, Charlie Iron 2 here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We last left off. We are on the cusp of implicating Scotland Yard's finest, Inspector Gregson, in a grand scheme of collusion and being a dirty cop, working with the witness and feeding him information and coaching his testimony. So let's go ahead and continue and see how that pans out. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. The words we uttered were that somebody must have fed him the information that the peephole existed. Yes, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And, in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Yeah, it would have to be Graydon, right? Who is the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? Alright. Couldn't have been Susato, she left. I doubt it would be Herlock, he's gone. Passed out, he was in the hospital right up until recently. Wouldn't have been Iris. Windybank's dead. He died before the peephole was made. Gino was trapped behind the door. He couldn't have gave the information to himself. Gregson could have 100% fed him that information, and I think we witnessed when it happened. Strongheart could have, I guess, but I don't know why. Van Zykes did not. And the Skulkin brothers were apprehended and never returned to the crime scene to see the door. So yeah, it's Gregson. Let's present him.
Take that!
Take that. The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the facts. We have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today. Okay. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communications station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea. No inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. So yeah, he wouldn't have a chance to be prepped. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume that he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information? We saw that happen. How did no one else see that? We even commented on it. So that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin? Exactly. So he must be paying Gregson, right? And Gregson doesn't want to kill the golden goose. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a bloomin' outrage. No, that's a bloomin' onion. It's not a bloomin' onion, but it kind of looks like one. Oh man, are you like panic eating? Why would I be giving away details of our investigations to this fella, eh? Because you're a dirty cop. I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. We all saw it happen! Come on, Van Zykes. You saw it happen too. Arg. Or Ag. Oh, I've just remembered something, Bruno. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Jenny was testifying. Oh yeah, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it. It was during that testimony. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little toe rag? Give me a second. Need to grab some water. What is a toe rag? Is that a thing? Do people have toe rags? You're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke? Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, counsel? I wonder if perhaps, in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. Mr. Graydon agreed to give something to the inspector. What would he give the inspector? Would it have been the music box, maybe? Disc? I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. Well,
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, this prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Ugh. What evidence would we need for this? Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. How do we have proof of a deal? If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. What is? I must press you for an answer now, counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness? All right, hold on. We're gonna save? All right. So let's look at the evidence. Not the armband. Pawnbroker's ticket for a box. No, because when we presented. We surprised Gregson with one of those, so I don't think it's that. Gina's representation papers, no. Blood samples, no. Manuscript, no. Case notes, no. Paper? No. Autopsy, no. Picture, no. Crime scene floor plan, no. Guns, no. Photographs, no. Stereoscope, no, they wouldn't have that. Could be the music disc. And then they went and grabbed the box. Oh. Okay, yeah, it should be the box because the box would have had a second disc in it that's no longer there. What evidence? Okay, yeah, I think it's the box. Let's present that.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case? This is true. What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here. The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice. How the bleeding Nora? What is a bleeding Nora? Could you? We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windybanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the discs for details of the case. Oh, so we're not suggesting that he was in on it. We are suggesting that in order for him to get ahead in his inspection of that case, he made a deal with the witness to get evidence so that he could look good solving that high-profile case. You little arg. Oh, he threw all his fish and chips behind him. Order, order, order. On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windybanks, you said this. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't. Don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony? There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these 2 men. No and ga.
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be found in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, would it? Why would you think that? Why would you think that he would have the disc on him? I mean, if he was smart, he wouldn't. He would have it in a dead drop location and then reveal the location of that dead drop only after he was freed, right? But, I mean, this is Ace Attorney land. Everything is kind of kooky here. So, according to Van Zykes, it's in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Yeah, that's exactly what I was asking. Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person?
Yes!
The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Jenny was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector? This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend? You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. Sounds serious. Indeed. To have a visiting student make such a defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force, not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook. You're just threatening Runo because you're scared. The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. All right, that's our hint. Very well, counsel, you know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord? Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? Oh, hold on. Let's save. Let's go back. Okay, he said something doesn't feel quite right. I think that's my hint that it's probably not Gregson. Could search someone else. We could say that the guy in white still has it. Yeah, let's try that. Grayson, Mr. Grayson, or Graydon. Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned, but your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the
Objection!
Yeah, we didn't say the inspector. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it, have you, Sunshine? The court shouldn't have put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Be quiet, all of you. Who's talking now? Oh, is it Iris? Runo's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words. You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord. Okay, so he's worried that we're going to search somebody else, so almost confirm that it's not Gregson? If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be. Counsel, of whom do you request this search now? Oh God. It's not Susato. Could be Herlock, though I don't understand why. It wouldn't be Iris. It wouldn't be Windybank. He's dead. It might be Gina? I think it's Ashley Graydon. It's not Gregson. Well, it could be. Strongheart, and Zykes, Nash, Ringo. Ashley.
Take that!
Mr. Ashley Graydon, my lord. The defense demands that he be searched at once. Very well. I presume you will not protest, Mr. Graydon? Oh, he's way too happy. Au contraire. And so a brief body search was carried out by the court bailiff. A few short minutes later, it was revealed that Mr. Graydon had nothing unusual on his person at all. All right, so it may very well be the inspector. That's not good. Yeah. Well, counsel, if I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen... Oh, do we get to choose again? Fairly sure I know who has that disc. There's only one person who it can be. Counsel, whom do you request? Well, it's gotta be Graydon now, right? Or not Graydon, Gregson.
Take that!
My lord, the defense demands a person be searched. It says this person. That's very genetic. What possible relation could this exist between this person and the case?
Objection!
It would seem my Nipponese friend does not understand the gravity of requesting such a search. If the defense counsel's aim is humiliation, perhaps that will give him a taste of his own medicine. Okay, so not Gregson. If Gregsy doesn't have the disc at the moment, the question is, where could he have hidden it? The trouble is, he's been in the witness stand the entire time in full view of everyone in the courtroom. Not an easy situation to go about hiding anything, really. So there's honestly only one place he could have possibly hidden it in. Perhaps in another person's pocket? Someone with him on the stand. Well, it's only the Skulkin brothers, right? Or Gina. Well, counsel, if I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment. It's only one person it can be. Counsel, whom do you request is searched now? Could be Gina, but I feel like she would know if she had a disc put in her pocket, because she's a pickpocket. This one, the green one, Nash, is standing beside Gregson. This one is standing on the other side of Nash, so... Nash?
Take that!
Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin? Well, I never. Me? M? Pardon me, getting a drink of water. A lot of reading. Leaves my throat parched. Need to drink more water when I play this game. Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects.
Hold it!
Please, my lord. Oh, is it Nash? Inspector? Scotland Yard has to object to this search.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. Eh? In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Zykes, I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. I think he's on our side now. I said that a few times. Bailiff, carry out the search. Now, hold on a mo. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out! Ah! Here, my lord. In the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord. That's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about nothing. Or about it, nothing. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? I think we got him. Order, order, order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you say for yourself? Gordon Bennett. I mean, just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. What does that mean? I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc, honest to God. Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck was between this witness and this detective, no? Without question, my lord. Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. Please remind me, because I don't remember that. I don't recall what unusual behavior. Ah. It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit to nothing of the sort. Oh, I don't remember that. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, he did and all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me whistle like that and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear hole, he did. My head's still throbbing now. The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Well, bless my wig, he hid it? You. But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush, a top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you acquired from the witness. Ah, does this mean he only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him, to slip the second disc into his pocket? So it was all a pretense? Nobody has anything to say? Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal? I don't think he is. Admit to it? Yours truly? Please. Mr. Graydon, clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection!
But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that's all I admit. Murder? Leaking government secrets? Striking a deal with a detective? All of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about, You what? Come on, pull it together. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or a subscribe. It truly helps the channel out. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then, and maybe we'll wrap this case up. Bye-bye.